What's up guys, this is the Honest Outlaw here, and today we're going to be doing a pretty funny video. We're going to be talking about 7 guns that I wish I didn't buy. Now, I'm going to get some hate from the fanboys from this video, and I understand why. I'm not saying all these guns will be terrible for you, I'm just saying for one reason or another, they were terrible for me, and I wish I didn't buy them. In this list, I'm going to try to explain why I bought them originally, why I hated them, and some options that I would recommend buying instead. So, let's get started. At number 7, my Wilson Combat 1911. Now, I gotta admit, I've wanted a Wilson Combat for as long as I can remember. All I've heard were awesome things about it. The most reliable, the most accurate 1911 on the planet with top-notch craftsmanship, and a slide as smooth as a baby seal's ass. Looks like a supermodel and it handles like a dream. Almost all of that is actually true, believe it or not, except for the reliability, which I wish I could say I didn't have issues with, but I feel like I had many more reliability issues than I should have for the whopping $4,000 price tag. But the real problem that I had afterward was the resale value. If you decide to sell your gun after you get it, you'll be lucky to get right around 3/4 what you paid for it, and if you're bad at math, that's about a $1,000 loss minimum. I really can't stress enough how disappointed I was, especially considering my Springfield and Dan Weston 1911s performed better and cost a lot less money. Number 6 is going to be the Kel-Tec PF9. Now, I'm not a Kel-Tec hater by far, but let's be honest, there's a few good designs that they have, but there's also a lot that you should stay away from, and this, for me, is one of those for sure. I bought it because it was very lightweight, one of the lightest 9mm pistols on the market at right around 12 ounces, which is pretty impressive. And it's also really cheap. I think I got it at a gun show for right around $200. And lastly, it comes highly recommended by one of the YouTubers I like, Nothing Fancy. So how bad could it be, right? Think about it for a second. Put a 9mm round in an unreliable 12-ounce frame with no traction to speak of, and what do you get? For me, you get a fairly unshootable gun. Yes, it's lightweight and a reasonable caliber, but if you can't hit anything, what's the point? The recoil was extreme enough that my wife didn't even want to practice with it, and if you don't practice with it, you might as well not carry it because you won't be able to shoot it effectively. It did have some pretty serious reliability issues in a lot of the ammo that I tried, and for me, if I buy a 9mm pistol, there's so many options on the market today. If it doesn't shoot everything 9mm, I get tired of it pretty quick and move on to something that does. If you're gonna buy a subcompact single stack, for me, I would stick with a reputable company like Glock, Smith & Wesson, or Walther. Number 5, the TAURUS 608. Now, TAURUS doesn't get a lot of love from me, and I think that's for good reason. I bought this gun because of the price, $600 compared to $1,000 for the Smith & Wesson. Since it's on the list of guns I regret buying, you can guess I should have just went with the Smith & Wesson. I also got this revolver because it was 8 shots at .357, very impressive. It came with a ported barrel and high-vis adjustable sights. That's a lot of great features for the money. However, in classic TAURUS fashion, they sacrificed build quality and reliability for cool factor and features. This gun could barely get through a full cylinder without a failure. If I were you, I would pick up a Ruger or Smith & Wesson. Buy once, cry once.
What the fuck is going on?
At number 4, the KAHR CW380. Another unreliable pocket pistol makes the list. The KAHR is great on paper, coming in at a featherweight 10 ounces, making it one of the lightest pistols you can carry with a reasonable caliber for self-defense. It also comes with the KAHR name, which has a great track record. But this gun could barely get through a magazine of any ammo that I fed it, not to mention the terrible trigger by today's standards. I know a lot of you like it, but you should try a PPQ and get back to me. Also, I happen to be pretty tall, so this tiny gun barely fit in my hands to begin with. It might be great for your grandma, but it's not great for me, and I'm glad I sold it. If you're in the market for a .380 pocket pistol, check out the Ruger LCP, Glock 42, or the very, very awesome SIG P238. Number 3, the Remington RP9. Now, normally I give guns the benefit of the doubt, but this gun is just a huge piece of crap. Added to the list of failed Remington products in the last 10 years. Thanks, Freedom Group. Way to ruin one of the oldest firearm companies in the world. This may be the least reliable gun I reviewed this year. Not to mention the grip was absolutely terrible. Maybe the worst that I've tried. There was no texture at all, and it literally felt like a broomstick. A very spongy trigger that worked about 75% of the time with no tactile or audible reset, not to mention the fact that it slaps you in the finger every time you shoot it. So how did Remington decide to turn this sinking ship around? Well, they decided to hire the old CEO of TAURUS. I wouldn't hold your breath thinking that Remington's quality will increase anytime soon. With so many alternatives to this gun, why even buy it? Get yourself a Glock, PPQ, SIG, XD, CZ, Smith & Wesson, or almost anything else. At number 2, the DPMS G2 RECON. This is the gun that started my channel. I was very excited for this gun to be released, and I bought it soon after on the recommendation of reputable people on YouTube like James Yeager. It was supposed to be as light as an AR-15, very reliable, very accurate, and you could even take some standard AR-15 parts and put them on this 308 gun. What I got, however, was a little bit different than advertised. The gun that I purchased wouldn't function a single round right out of the box, and it had to be sent back to have the bolt resized so it would at least move back and forth inside the rifle. I got it back a couple of months later. It still malfunctioned 1 or 2 times every 100 rounds or so. However, I did fix that issue as well myself by adding an adjustable gas block. It also was not as accurate as advertised, to say the least. About 1 to 1.5 MOA at best. I have rack grade AR-15s that shoot better than that. Did I mention that it recoiled like a truck full of dildos falling off a bridge and landing on your shoulder? I might be exaggerating a little bit here, but it still had about double the recoil of my M&P 10, and they're the exact same type of gun, shooting the exact same caliber. I decided after this gun that I would start a YouTube channel and I would be honest about my experiences so people don't have to go through what I went through to find out what gun works the best for them. For me personally, if you're looking for G2 RECON, I would steer more towards Aero Precision or definitely the Smith & Wesson M&P. And number 1. It takes a lot to get to number 1 on this list, but you made it. The Ultra 87 by Century Arms. This is an 870 clone in 12 gauge. I did a video on this gun titled The Worst Gun Ever, and pretty much everyone who saw it agreed. It's a cheap Chinese copy of an 870 imported by Century Arms. Why did I buy it, you ask? I bought it because I've always bought brand name shotguns like Mossberg or Remington, and I wanted to try something different. Not to mention this gun was a little bit under $200. To add insult to injury, my buddy needed a shotgun, and I hadn't tried this out yet. He was on a very strict budget, so I gave it to him. He shot about a box of ammo through it before the rails inside the receiver that the bolt rides on completely sheared off. They're made of metal, about as tough as a melted beer can, so I guess I wasn't that surprised. The bolt got jammed inside the receiver so hard that it wouldn't work, and you couldn't break the action down to see what was wrong. After taking it to a gunsmith to find out that my new gun no longer works and it would cost me more to fix it than buy a new shotgun of higher quality, I decided to make the video, and I stand by it. Please, do yourself a favor and spend the extra $50 to $100 and at least get a Mossberg Maverick, Use 500, or even a Use 870. All 3 will last you your entire life, and you'll be able to hand them down to your children, and your entire life is a little bit longer than a box of birdshot. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. I usually leave a link to a local homeless shelter in the description. You can go down there, click the link, and it'll bring you right to the donate page, and you can donate to this youth homeless shelter that could really use your support. If you have a little bit of money after that, you could always hit up my Patreon account. It's also in the description below the shelter. I could use your support as well, considering YouTube is not quite as friendly to gun-related content as it used to be. Please help out your local homeless shelters, and remember to recycle. I'll check you later. I didn't load it. That makes it feel like a dipshit.